Good morning, grade 7s. Hope you're all well and that you've been taking good care of yourselves and you are ready to tackle term 4, the last term for the year and the last term for you as being a grade 7 learner. And yeah, all the best of luck. Today's lesson, we are going to be doing summary writing. Now, the skill that we're going to be addressing is writing and presenting. All right, as you all know, grade 7s, summary writing is part of your formal assessment task 9, which will be your test, the control test that you're going to be writing, your last test for the year. So it is very crucial for you to know how to construct and how, or in other words, how to write a good summary. I hope by the end of this lesson, you would have an idea, or even better yet, you will know what a summary is. All right, firstly, what is summarizing? You probably ask yourself, but what is summarizing? If it's the first time that you're hearing of this word, I doubt. Now, I have different definitions here defining the word summarizing. Now, the first one says, summarizing is a way of understanding a text by identifying the main ideas and important facts. In other words, it is what the text is about, supported with important facts. Then, the second definition, it says summarizing is giving a short statement of the important points. So can you see, here's that word again, important points, here important facts, and we have short statements. So, so you have to see the link between the different definitions. All right, then the third one says that to summarize a text or a story is to write or say it in your own words, stating the text's main idea and leaving out the parts that are not essential for understanding. So here we have what? Main idea. Also main idea here. Main idea. You write in your own words, which is also crucial. Stating the important, essential points or facts. Now, you should remember that summarizing is more than retelling a text or a story or even a paragraph. It also has to do with analyzing information with the aim of recognizing the important information from the unimportant. So you have to be able to distinguish between the important information and from the unimportant information. All right. Now, you probably ask, why do we need to learn to summarize? Well, there are plenty of reasons why it is important to summarize. Firstly, it improves your reading skills, meaning that it improves your comprehension. Have you ever heard of reading with comprehension? So summarizing improves the skill of you reading with comprehension. Secondly, we need to learn to summarize because it makes your reading faster, our reading faster. Because here we practice also the skill of skimming and scanning. Hence, it improves your reading skill to making you a better reader and a faster reader. Then thirdly, it improves your vocabulary. As you all know, I'm sure your teachers always tell you that reading is very important and you should read, and not only read for school things or information, but you should also read for enjoyment in order for you to expand your vocabulary. So it improves your vocabulary. The more you read, the more words you'll be exposed to, and the more your vocabulary becomes bigger. Then it helps also to develop critical thinking. So you're going to become a critical thinker. Summarizing allows you to restate key information in a way that is short and in order. So you are able to restate the key information, meaning the main information or main ideas, in a short, brief way and also orderly. Another reason why we should learn to summarize is that it improves the ability to identify and isolate important information. It can also assist in research. Last term, we did research, the project. So imagine now if you have to go and read a lot of information. In the meantime, you're only looking for certain ideas, main ideas, or a certain key information. And you are faced with reading let's say 4 pages, and you're only gonna take out a few key information. So here summarizing the 4 articles would come in handy. So summarizing assists in research, so it helps you to lessen the work that you have. And lastly but not least, it strengthens your study habits. You know, most from the other classes, especially your essays, your study subjects, your teacher will always say that summarize, summarize, summarize your work. So if you know how to summarize and you master summarizing, you will have good study habits and strong study habits. Now, we've discussed summarizing. Now, we are going to have a look at a summary. What is a summary? Can you tell me? I'm sure by now you know what a summary is, because this is not the first time of you hearing of this word, right? Okay. It is important to understand what a summary is. Now, a summary is an overview of the most important things in a text. It is a shortened version of an original text or a passage. It can also be a paragraph. Now, in other words, a summary is a condensed version. Condensed means a shortened, right? When you condense something, it's when you shorten and lessen it, right? A summary is a condensed version of a longer piece of writing or a longer piece of talk or a longer piece of a speech, right? It conveys the essential meaning of an original text. That text can be written or spoken, right? So a summary is a short version of a longer piece of writing, talk, or speech, and it conveys the essential meaning, the important meaning, the crucial meaning of an original text, written or spoken. So the text can be written or spoken. Now, what is the purpose of a summary? Why do we summarize? What is the purpose of it? The primary purpose of a summary is to give an exact and objective representation of what the work says in a concise form. Remember, concise means brief and understandable, right? Summaries aims to share main ideas by taking out irrelevant details. So in a summary, we should remember, we said that we should be able, why do we need to summarize? Summarizing, it improves what? Your ability to distinguish between the important and unimportant information. So here it says that writing summaries aims to share main ideas by taking out irrelevant details, meaning that we take relevant details, use them, and the irrelevant ones we discard. Then the other purpose is the tone of the original text or the passage must be maintained by avoiding opinions. So here, when it comes to summary writing, grade 7s, you shouldn't include your own opinions. Avoid including your own opinions, as in summaries, your own opinions should not be in there. Otherwise, it will no longer serve the purpose of summary, but your writing piece will now be regarded as your essay, because you're now giving your opinions. Hence, also here, when you go to the first bullet, the primary purpose of summary is to give an exact and objective representation. So objective, you're not going to be, if it was subjective here, then we would have said you can write your opinions, but it has to be objective. So meaning you should avoid adding your own opinions. Then lastly, a summary shares the same meaning as the original text, but in a different and fewer words. So if you summarize a text, you shouldn't change its meaning. The meaning should stay the same as the original text, but you can write it differently, reducing your words. So you should stick to the same meaning. Why use a summary? I'm sure some of you are asking, but why must we use summary? Remember, we use a summary to share the main ideas of an interview, a debate, a radio broadcast, and the list goes on. Then lastly, it is to communicate relevant information from documents such as newspaper articles, advertisements, and reports. So if you are, let's say now you are too lazy to read a newspaper article, or your mother, you are busy reading a newspaper article and your mother asks you what you are reading about, you can therefore just summarize the article by giving your mother the relevant information from the newspaper article. Now, the key features of a summary. What should your summary contain? What should be included in summary writing when you write a summary? Let's see. Your summary should be shorter than the original text given to you or the original passage. Secondly, your summary should capture the most important points. Remember the main ideas. We don't want irrelevant information, but we're only looking for important points. Thirdly, the third key feature, it must maintain the original meaning of the text. Remember, you do not change the meaning of the text. You can only use fewer words, right? You stay to the, maintain the original meaning of the text. Your next key feature is that your summary should be written in your own words. This one is very important, boys and girls. It should be written in your own words. This means that the summary, you should use your own words and not just go and take a sentence from the extract or the text that you're reading as is and put it there as a summary. You should use your own words. Remember using your own words, but keeping to the original meaning of the text. Next, it should be easy and concise. So, it should be easy or simple to read your summary, and it should be understandable, right? Short and understandable, brief and understandable. Next, your summary should be brief and without unnecessary details, right? Do not include unnecessary details that do not add value to the summary or the text. And lastly, it should be a readable, unified whole. So your summary should be readable, a unified whole. So it should make sense. When you read your summary, it should be a whole and not be as if sentences are just thrown here and there. And when you put them together, you find that, but what is written here doesn't make sense, or it doesn't correlate. So ensure that your summary is readable and as a unified whole. Now, we're going to have a look at the 5 strategies of summary writing. The first strategy, we use concise language, right? Understandable, brief, understandable language. All right, you're probably wondering, what is that? It means that using less words we use less words without sacrificing meaning makes writing more understandable. So using less words without sacrificing the meaning of the text makes writing more understandable. Now, I have an example here set for you. In this sentence in black, it says here, Katie believed but could not confirm that Mary had feelings of hatred for her. So this is the original text given to you. Now you have to go and summarize this sentence in your own words. How would you do that? Remember, what should you keep in mind? You should stick to the meaning, the same meaning of the text, and you should use short or fewer words. Let's have a look. You can say that Katie concluded that Mary loathed her. Loathed meaning that hated her. It's another word for hated, right? Disliked her, right? So here you can see that in the original sentence, how many words do we have? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 words. And then when you summarized it, we only summarized it in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. But can you see the meaning is still the same? Here we can see that Katie concluded or assumed that Mary disliked her, loathed her, hated her, right? Next strategy, you should selecting main ideas. How do we select main ideas? All right, firstly, the main idea is the pivotal idea in a paragraph. Pivotal, it is the important idea, a crucial idea in a paragraph or a passage, as it states the purpose of the paragraph and sets its direction. So the main idea is the important part in a important idea in a paragraph or a passage because it states the purpose of the paragraph and also gives direction. Now, another example. Here it says penicillin is one of the greatest of the wonder drugs. It has saved thousands of lives already and will save more in the future. Unfortunately, it has no effect at all on most of the ills of mankind. Penicillin is a very good drug, but is certainly not a cure-all. Now, as you can see here, I have highlighted the first sentence, right, which is the main idea of the paragraph, and also highlighted the last sentence of the paragraph. Here we can see that the author has split the main idea. The paragraph begins with positive comments on penicillin. As it says, penicillin is one of the greatest of the wonder drugs. So this is a positive comment of the drug penicillin. And yet, but the word but, you will see, continues that penicillin is a very good drug. So it's the same thing. It can be repetition, greatest of the wonder drugs. Can you see? Penicillin is a very good drug. These two, this sentence and the first part of the last sentence, penicillin is a very good drug. We can see this as repetition because they mean the same. It's one of the same thing. Then we'll see that the word but. Can you see the but? It signals a shift in thought, and the paragraph ends with a statement of its limitation. You'll see the limitation of the penicillin. Although here it says that it's the greatest, the writer says penicillin is one of the greatest of the wonder drugs. He continues and concludes by saying that penicillin is a very good drug, but is certainly not a cure-all. So here we can see that he states the limitation of the drug. So when you summarize this paragraph, you can just say that penicillin is a very good drug, but certainly not a cure for all. Or you can say penicillin is one of the greatest of the wonder drugs, but is certainly not a cure-all. You don't need to write the first part if you're going to write the first part of the last sentence. Right. hope that is clear. Moving along, the third strategy is joining main ideas, or we can say combining main ideas. After choosing the main ideas in each paragraph, it is important that you keep the unity of the ideas when you are joining them. Remember, when you summarize, you take your passage that you're reading paragraph by paragraph, the text, right? And then you identify the main ideas found in each paragraph. After that, you have to go and unify the ideas from each paragraph by joining them, right? Ideas should not be disjointed. Therefore, you will make use of appropriate transitional words or phrases to join your ideas. I hope by now you know what transitional words are or transitional phrases, as I can take it that you've already done it in class. So here, joining the main ideas, you should ensure that your main ideas from each paragraph, you keep the unity in the ideas when you are joining them. And in order to do that, you must make use of transitional words. Then the fourth strategy, you must exclude examples. You know, when you read a text, you'll find examples being used in a text. Writers use examples to support their main ideas. Examples are important in writing, but they should not be included in your summary. A good summary will summarize examples in the fewest words possible. So here is another example. Sandy bought apples, pears, bananas, and peaches for her sick grandmother. Now, if we have to go and summarize this sentence, we would say Sandy bought, instead of mentioning all the examples, the items, they're apples, pears, bananas, and peaches, we all know that they are classified as fruits, right? So we say that Sandy bought fruits for her sick grandmother. You can even say Sandy bought fruits for her ailing grandmother or ailing granny. Remember, it's your own words. So long as you keep to the main idea, you don't change the meaning of the sentence. So as you can see here, we've summarized the sentence, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 words to merely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 word sentence. So will you be able to do it? It's not that difficult. Then the last strategy is excluding repetitions and statistical data. Now, you remember excluding repetitions. Can you still remember in that slide of the example of the penicillin? I said that there's a repetition when they mentioned that penicillin is a good drug and it's the world's wonderful drug. Those two sentences mean the same thing, so it's repetition. So here it says that you should exclude repetitions and statistical data. Now here it says, writers use repetitions to emphasize an important point. Keep in mind the penicillin example. So there the writer was emphasizing on which important point? How good the penicillin is to people, as it has cured a lot of people in the olden days, and it will probably still continue saving lives, right? So the emphasis is on the importance of and how good the penicillin is. All right, writers use statistical data to support or illustrate important information. Repetitions and statistical data should be excluded in your summary. They are not needed. They can be expressed in different ways throughout the passage or the text, and therefore it is pivotal that you are able to identify these repetitions used in the passage as they can be expressed in a phrase, a sentence, or an idea. So you must be able to identify repetitions. Statistical data is easy to identify because most of the time it's either numbers, percentages, and so forth. But as for repetition, it is not always that easy because they are given throughout the passage or the text in different ways. So you have to be very sure that you are capable of identifying these repetitions and you exclude them. All right, let's have a look. The difference between a good summary and a bad summary. What does a good summary include? A good summary includes the main idea of the text, which can be a section or a selection, and then also includes important parts and supporting details that are related to the main idea. Now, a bad summary has the following: distracting details or information. What can these distracting details be or information be? It can be what? When we did our strategy, we said that you should eliminate what, or you should exclude what. It can be the distracting details, can be your statistical data, it can be your repetitions, all the things that you should not be included in your summary that will distract you and make you be make your summary to lose the meaning of it. Then a bad summary also has the following: some important parts of the main ideas are missing. So the main ideas are incomplete. They don't contain important parts that should be mentioned. And lastly, not all of the sentences form part of the main idea. So ensure that you always write your good summary, and your good summary includes the main idea of the text, it includes the important parts and the supporting details that are related to the main idea. So you should have your supporting details and important parts in your main idea that relates to the main idea, and shy away from the bad summary, writing a bad summary by adding all the unnecessary irrelevant information that is not really needed in a summary. All right, writing a summary. We follow two simple steps, right? You know, when writing a summary, all we do is read and then we write the summary. Yes, you are right. It is two steps. The first step is reading. We read the original text, the given text or the passage. While we read, we skim the text to find its main idea and its supporting details. Look for the keywords, as they can either be the most important information in each paragraph or can be the paragraph's topic sentence. And then lastly, you should get rid of less important details, the unnecessary or irrelevant details, right? So you know, when you read, what do? You skim the text to find its main idea and supporting details. And this, when you skim, you can just identify your keywords that appear, that often appear at different places in the passage. Then we look for those keywords, as they can either be the most important information in each paragraph or they can be the paragraph's topic sentence. And lastly, you must remember to always get rid of the less important details. Step 2 is our writing. When you write the summary, before you start to write your summary, you must ask yourself, what is this text about? Once you can answer that question, then you'll be sure to know that you understand the text that you read. If not, you have to go back and read the text or the passage all over again. Because if you cannot answer the question, what is the text about, and retell what the text is about, it means that you haven't fully comprehended the text yet. Now, when we write a summary, we start, once you've answered that question of what the text is about, you start with an introductory sentence, or it can be an introductory paragraph. You all know when we write, there's always an introduction followed by your body, and there's always a conclusion. Now, what is an introductory sentence or paragraph? And what should it entail? Here it says, introductory sentence or a paragraph often give details on the text type, so meaning that what type of text are you reading? Is it a newspaper article? Is it a story? Is it a dialogue? And so forth. The title of the text or the story, the author, so we have to know who wrote the story, who is the writer of the newspaper article, of the text that you read, and it must have a topic, right? We should also include your topic in the introductory sentence. And then it can also have a date and place of publication if the date and place of publication is available. All right, let's have a look at this example. Here's a newspaper article. The name of the newspaper is The Village News. It was published on the 8th of April 2020, and then the writer we can see. All right, so now when you start your introductory sentence, now remember, we must have a text type in the introductory sentence, we must have a title, we must have an author, and we must have the topic, and also have our date and place of publication if they are available. Now, judging by the example that we have, when we go and answer these, ask ourselves if the example here, the newspaper, contains these details. Let's have a look. So text type, when I write introductory sentence, the text type, we already know it's a newspaper article, date is. Then the title, do we have a title? Let's have a look. Yes, we do. All hands on deck to fight virus. This is our title, right? The newspapers, the Village newspaper. So it's a newspaper article. So we have established our text type, newspaper article, the title, all hands on deck, and then the author. Do we have an author? Let's have a look. The author, the writer there, it says is the Val Steyn. Then we're going to have our topic, and then we have the date and place of publication. Let's have a look where it was published. The example here, we're going to say the newspaper article, it is my text type. All hands on deck to fight virus, this is the title, right? So the newspaper article, all hands on deck to fight virus, by the Val Steyn. Can you see? So the author was published in the Village News on April 8th, 2020. So here already I have my text type. We have our title. We have the author, the writer, and we also have the publisher and the date of publication. Then now we move on to the topic. Here we're going to say it deals with the impact of the rules and regulations, lockdown period, and its effects on livelihoods and working together to defend COVID-19. So there you have your introductory sentence. The newspaper article, All Hands on Deck to Fight Virus by the Val Steyn, was published in the Village News on April 8, 2020. It deals with the impact of the rules and regulations of lockdown period and its effects on livelihoods and working together to defeating COVID-19. So if you had to summarize this article, this is how your introductory sentence would have been, or introductory paragraph. All right, next you have to, while still finding the main idea, you must read the text the first time for understanding. And then again, we said that you must ask yourself, what is the text about? If you can answer the question, scan the text to look which topic word appears a lot in the text. Once you found that topic word that appears a lot in the text, it is likely the topic of the text. Next, you have to think about what is the topic about, right? You have to think about what the topic is about. Then read the passage. After that, you read the passage for the second time. Here, you must identify the overall point being made about the topic word. So firstly, you identify the overall point that is made about the topic word. Then you must be able to see the big picture that is revealed by the text. This is the main idea of the whole text. Once you've seen the big picture and you're able to see it, and you'll see that is revealed by the text, you will now realize that that is the main idea of the whole text. Now, avoid unimportant information. These are normally explanatory details that support the main idea. You should exclude the following from your summary: minor details, opinions, remember no opinions, repetitions, examples, statistical data, dialogue or quotations, figures of speech, and conclusions. These all here should be excluded from your summary. Remember, we said that your summary should be concise and straight to the point. Now, finding the supporting details. Supporting details are used to develop or explain the main idea. Supporting ideas can be used to expand on the main idea. So the supporting details tell me more about the main idea. Skimming through the text for the third time. So now you have to go and read it for the third time. Look for the supporting ideas by reading over the opening sentences of the text paragraph. Then you must ensure you underline or highlight topic sentences in the paragraphs and the key ideas in them. So basically, grade 7s, when you get a summary for your test or for practice in class, you take your text that the teacher gave you, you read through your text the first time to ensure that you understand. Ask yourself what the text is about. Once you have that, you can go and move on to the next step by reading for the second time, identifying the main idea. You're going to identify a main idea in each paragraph of your text. Then you highlight it, you can underline it. While doing that, you can also exclude the unnecessary, irrelevant details that are not needed. If you come across a repetition, you can skip it. If you come across statistical data, you know that you shouldn't include that. If there's the writer's opinion in the text, you know that it shouldn't be included. And most importantly, you shouldn't include your own opinion. All right. Write summary sentences. After you have read the text for the third time now, you write 1 or 2 summary sentences for each paragraph, explaining the main idea that you find or revealed by the paragraph, right? So you read it for the third time. You now sit and write on a piece of paper from the paragraph. You write 1 or 2 summary sentences for each paragraph, explaining the main idea that you found and demonstrated by the paragraph. Then, if you repeat the same ideas for all paragraphs, you have to read the text again to get a clearer picture and then rewrite the summary sentences. So remember, if you repeat the same idea, you find that you've repeated the same idea For all the paragraphs, they share the same idea. You have to read the text again in order to get a clearer picture and then rewrite your summary sentences. Otherwise, your summary sentences, your summary will all contain of one main idea. All right, this is about it, grade 7s. I hope that you have learned a lot through this lesson. But before I end this lesson, I quickly want to give you the following tips to write your summaries. You'll see here that it's everything that we've discussed here. So tip number 1, I would suggest that you should shorten the text in such a way that all facts are in the summary, right? So you should shorten your text in such a way that all the facts that need to be in the summary are in the summary. But remember, you leave out examples, repetitions, and interpretations, and so forth. Then the second tip, you must skim the text. You should know what is the main context of it, the main idea, and then read the headline carefully, or the title. If it's a newspaper article, it will be the headline, or if it's a story, it will be the title. Then tip number 3, read the text again to understand more details. You must have understood the whole text. So you must read the text again to understand more details, because you must have understood the whole text. Then tip number 4, now you make notes using keywords. And here you must underline important words in the text. In order for you to identify your keywords easily, you must highlight or underline them by identifying them in the text. Tip 5, you must form sentences with the help of your keywords. So now from your keywords, you form sentences of what you understand from it, right? These sentences should reflect the main content of the text. Then tip 6, you must use transition words to connect the sentences and the paragraph. Remember, they should flow, they should be a whole. Then tip 7, you must use simple present or simple past tense to write sentences in your reported speech. Then tip 8, which is now you rounding off and finalizing your summary. You all know that you need to proofread your written work, check out for punctuation errors, spelling errors, sentence structure, and your content. And then lastly, this is very important, boys and girls, you have to adhere to the word limit. In the test, if they said to you that you should write not more than 100 words or 80 words, then you should stick to that limit. You shouldn't surpass the limit, because the teacher will only mark the first 80 words that are there. I would like us to do an example before I can end off the list. It's a short passage about a watermelon seed, and it's very easy. Just quickly want us to go through the text and summarize it and see all the strategies and apply all the strategies that we just went through. Now, the text reads like this: watermelon seeds. The seed. Watermelons grow in stages. A watermelon begins as a dark, flat seed. The seed germinates and begins to develop roots. Then, a vine grows several feet and flowers begin to appear. Now, if we had to identify keywords from this paragraph, what would they be? Remember, the title is Watermelon Seeds, right? And in this paragraph, we get a paragraph explaining about the seed. So we can underline the word seed and use it as our one of the keywords. We can also highlight vine, grows, and then flower, right? We all know that when you plant a seed, then of a watermelon seed, we have the seed, then it grows into a vine, and then it forms a flower. Now, the next paragraph, pollination. After flowers grow, insects such as bees pollinate the flowers. Pollen must be transferred to the stigmas of the flower for fruit to grow. When a bee visits many different flowers on the vine, it carries pollen from a male part of the flower to a female part of the flower. Once pollinated, the flower develops a small fruit. So here we are at the pollination stage. So which keywords can we identify here? That has to do with pollination. So we know that after the flower has grown, right? What must happen now? It's pollination. Now, what is pollination? We ask ourselves now, what is pollination? We know that pollination is when insects pollinate flowers, right? So here we're going to identify and say, okay, the bees pollinate the flowers. And then we can also identify the flowers develop small fruits once they are pollinated. Then the last stage is the fruit. After a while, the melon grows larger and larger. Seeds from inside the red, juicy part of the watermelon. When those seeds are planted, the life cycle begins again. Right? So now, if we had to go and write and summarize this text here, this informational text of the watermelon seeds. Firstly, we can change the title of the text by saying, here we can see that it's it is about the life cycle of a watermelon, right? So we can say life cycle of watermelon cycle can be our title instead of saying watermelon seeds, right? So now, how do we explain this text summarized? So we're going to say the first, we're going to summarize it in a paragraph, including all the keywords that we've identified. Remember, we have the seed, we have a vine that grows, and then flowers, we have pollination, bees pollinate, and then the flower develops a small fruit, and then the fruit itself, yet we have seeds from inside the red juicy part, and then they are planted, and the life cycle begins again. So now I have those keywords. Already I know what this text is about. It's about the life cycle of a watermelon, how it grows. Now, let's put those keywords into a summary, into a paragraph. We can say what? Our title is Watermelon Life Cycle, or the life cycle of a watermelon. So we can begin like this. There are several stages in the watermelon's life cycle. Seeds grow into vines, and then flowers appear. Once pollinated, flowers develop into fruit, which then makes new seeds. Once planted, the new seed begins the life cycle again. As simple as that. In less than 3 sentences, we've summarized the whole text of the watermelon life cycle, which we have deducted from an informational text that explained the cycle of a watermelon. Okay, boys and girls, this is the end of the lesson. I really hope that you've learned a lot and that this will help you in preparation of your test. And go out there, practice, practice, practice. Your teachers will also do the summary writing with you guys in class. So listen attentively, pay attention, remember what you've learned from this lesson, remember what your teacher teaches you and shows you how to write a summary. And thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best of luck.